Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the General Show. So excited to be back to talk more Auburn basketball here at Auburn Daily. Today, we're here to talk about Auburn's biggest win of the year, coming off a horrible loss against Georgia. They pick up a huge home win against the 13th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks by a score of 72-59. I'm excited to talk about that, and we are going to go ahead and bring in my dad and co-host. Dad, I know you're excited to talk about this one as well. Auburn wins 72-59 in Neville Arena on Saturday night against the Arkansas Razorbacks, the 13th ranked Razorbacks, who have an injury bug going on. They were without top guard Nick Smith, one of the top recruits in the country this past years between Auburn and Arkansas, and the Brazili guy, one of their stretch five bigs, the transfer from Missouri, who tore his ACL when they were playing in the Maui gym. But Auburn picks up a big win. What are your immediate thoughts following last night's game?
We played zone.
Yeah.
We played a 2-3 zone almost the entire game. I never thought I'd see Bruce Pearl play zone. I tweeted out right before the game starts, one of the things I'm curious about watching is on our man-to-man, on our high screen defense, do we go under because they're not a great shooting team and just try to keep them out of the lane? Yeah. Well, he didn't just change that.
He changed the whole defense.
He played zone, I'd say 90% of this game, and it worked great. They were awful from three. They're not a good outside shooting team.
No, yeah, you're right.
They're a bunch of athletes, and they're really good. If you let them get by you, they're going to do what what's his name did early on in the game on the breakaway, the fourth. What's his name? Ricky Council the fourth. Yeah. And almost break our rim on that end of the gym. But we played zone.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk more about the changes in the defense here in just a second. But just like you mentioned, this Arkansas team is very good. They, just like I mentioned, they have had injury troubles, but they are very long and very, very tall. Yeah. There's a graphic of the average NBA team's height and wingspan, or average NBA players' height and wingspan of all the averages. And Arkansas, this Arkansas team has a higher in both.
Yeah,
both an average height player and the average wingspan of each player.
We talk a lot about how Wayne Green struggles against big athletic guards.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people talk about that. And I think he hears that.
Yeah.
And I think he was out to prove last night. I mean, we ran the first play for him, a high ball screen or high dribble handoff from Janai, and he knocks down the three and gets fouled. And basically gets up and tells the Neville Arena fans, I'm effing back.
Yeah, I'm back.
And I was like, wow, you couldn't ask for a better start. And to get an early foul on the kid who hung on the rim at the end of the game last year, on his head, basically.
Yeah.
So that was.
So
they are really long.
Talking about
really athletic.
Yeah, talking about the difference in between this. Half a week makes from this Auburn team. During the Arkansas game, I was like, okay, I was super happy or like fired up at the game. And then I was kind of like disappointed. Like, where in the world was this in Athens? Because we would have blown out Georgia if we played like this in Athens on Wednesday night. Two completely different teams that fielded the floor.
Yes.
And I want to just say this, and then we can start talking about the player, obviously, that you just mentioned. The announcer, Tom Hart, in the broadcast said it best. When Wendell Green is playing great, Auburn plays great. When Wendell Green is playing average, Auburn is playing average. When Wendell Green plays bad, Auburn plays bad. Just like we've talked about all preseason, all beginning of the year, the offense is going to run through Wendell Green. We've wanted it to run through Jalen. We've wanted it to run through Janai. And obviously the scoring is going to end up running through those two. But in this game specifically, Wendell Green looked like point guard number one. We harped on him in the last podcast about how he just wasn't.
He was bad.
He wasn't good. He didn't have his shot. He didn't look confident. The defensive end, he looked like he was struggling. All right, Wendell. All right, let me get that.
While you're pulling that up, I'll tell
you.
He
had 3 steals.
Yeah.
He looks more aggressive,
but had 3 steals. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about Wendell Green, he goes 5 of 8 after going 2 of 12 the night before. He goes 5 of 8 today, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. Is 19 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. All 5 of those assists were gorgeous, by the way.
Yep.
I want to talk about one play in particular. It was a back cut that Wendell made.
Yeah.
And it made a layup from a great pass from Allen. Like that we have not seen something like that from Wendell yet. So being able to see this in this game, that's special. There's another pass that he made to Jalen on a back door. That was fantastic. The no-look alley-oop to Dylan Cardwell. This finally looked like Wendell Green that we saw last year and we're expected to see this year.
We're going to go as far as Wayne Green goes.
Yeah.
If Wayne Green, Tom Hart's right. If Wayne Green is really good, we will beat really good teams.
Yep.
I was sitting there last night as I was arguing with Arkansas fans who I'll give them credit. Those folks from Arkansas, they talk trash more after losing than most teams talk trash after winning.
Well, they've got used to that with football. They've got used to that.
Maybe that's it. But I was trying to think. So they've got at least 2, probably 3 NBA players on that team right now, Arkansas.
I'm thinking more like 4 or 5.
All right.
I'm thinking more 4 or 5.
Kentucky's got 4 or 5 NBA players. Alabama's got 3 or 4 NBA players.
Yep.
Probably 3. LSU's got an NBA player. And
Tennessee's got 2 or 3 NBA players.
Tennessee's got 2 or 3 NBA players. I don't think if you look at it right now, Auburn doesn't have an NBA player on the squad.
No, you don't have a prototypical.
You don't have somebody that's going to get drafted this year.
No.
Those other teams have people there. Florida's going to have Castleton's going to get drafted this year.
Yeah.
That Georgia team, one of those 2 guards, Okendo's probably going to get drafted this year. We don't have the NBA players that a lot of these teams do. So we have to figure out ways to get an advantage.
Yep.
And Bruce did that playing zone. And when, as long as he throws his body around in control, it's weird. That sounds weird.
Yeah, you're right.
But he was throwing his body around out of control at Georgia, and they weren't giving him the fouls.
Yeah.
He was under control and still throwing his body around, and he was going to the line last night.
Yeah.
And if he's going to the line, that means that he's getting them in foul trouble. They had their point guard had 2 fouls early and had to sit out the whole half. Only ended up with 2 points. So we will go as far as Wynn wants to take us.
That's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Talking more about players who really stuck out in this game. Man, if we don't mention Alan Flanagan,
crazy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I really hope that wasn't just like he was playing against Arkansas type of game because he's from there, because he looked outstanding. And I don't mean, yes, he went 3 of 6 from 3. If he goes 3 of 6 from 3, it's going to be great. We're going to be really good. He had 8 rebounds. He was the second on the team in rebounding. That's by far. He looked more aggressive. He had 2 assists, that 1 pass. He only had 1 turnover. It was a bad turnover, but it wasn't, it wasn't like, we only had 8 turnovers in the game. That's outstanding.
You're going to win a lot more.
That's outstanding. It's just the tale of 2 different teams between Wednesday and Saturday night. It's crazy. But talking about Allen Moore, he looked as good as I've seen him on the defensive end in a long time. And that now's the exact time when he needs to start picking up defensively, because we have a good week this week with the 2 Mississippi schools. And then he gets thrown into the fire guarding some really, really good wings. And him and Chris Moore, and I'm going to throw Jalen Williams in there as well, they're going to have to guard some really, really good NBA players, just like you said, because the NBA guards I would think most of the NBA guards are on this Arkansas team.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the NBA players that we're talking about on these
small
other teams are forwards, centers, long wings, those sort of guys. And that's Allen, that's Chris Moore, that's Jalen Williams. That's matchups.
Look, so Allen scored double figures in back-to-back games for the first time since 2021 before he got hurt.
Oh my gosh.
He scored 11 against Georgia, and we both said he's by far the best player on our team against Georgia.
Yep. Outside of Janai,
yeah. I'm sorry, I take that back. He was the best he's been on our team for a very long time.
Yeah.
Last night, the one thing I wanted to point out about Allen, and Bruce said it in his post-game press conference, is he didn't over dribble into the lane.
Exactly.
He has that tendency
always
to over dribble.
And he always turns it over when he does it. Yeah. He always turns it over.
Dribble. He was smart. He was under control. He was making his shots. He made that first one, that first long distance one, and I was like, that may be a good sign.
Yeah.
So
Allen
Flanagan.
The second one he had was wide open, but the third 3-pointer that he made was a falling away after the dribble handoff. It's that flex cut that Auburn always does.
Yep.
To get, Wendell Green, Jalen. We do a lot with Jalen. We do a lot with Allen. Did a lot with KD, especially last year. But that dribble handoff, and he just shot it instead of exactly what you said. He didn't over dribble. He didn't try and create. The only time he created, he made a beautiful pass to Wendell on the back cut that I mentioned earlier.
Beautiful.
It was amazing. So unbelievably impressive from Allen Flanagan. You look at the team stats, and there's really two stats that stand out in Auburn's favor, and it's points off of turnovers, because Arkansas had 14 turnovers to 8. That's the 6 turnovers was not a huge advantage, still a big one, but the points off of turnovers, Arkansas got 6 points after Auburn off of Auburn's turnovers. Auburn got 25 points off of Arkansas's turnovers, and then the second stat that sticks out, complete Auburn advantage, is the bench points, and that is largely due to Allen Flanagan's 18 points, 27-8 in bench points. That's just huge.
Especially with them being in foul trouble, because they had to go to their bench early, and he doesn't have a deep bench. I don't know how. He recruits like crazy, but they don't play a lot of people. The thing that stood out to me was when you play zone, it's harder to rebound. We talked about that because we talked about that when we played Washington, how our rebounding was way above theirs. And I said, well, maybe it's because they played zone. We played zone, and we gave up a bunch of offensive rebounds. But I think it was Ferguson
17 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, Ferguson pointed out, though, because of the amount of traffic that's in there, when they were getting offensive rebounds, they weren't unguarded go back up offensive rebounds. There were two guys standing around them trying to block their shot again. So they missed a bunch of layups.
Yeah, no, at one point they were really, really struggling from the layups in the first half. Arkansas went 7 of 22 from layups in this game. That's
bad.
Not good.
When you're really and give credit to Janai Broome, he had several block shots, but he altered a bunch of shots.
Yes, absolutely.
So I again playing his own and Janai playing as well as he does defensively at the back of that zone. I was impressed. I was worried there for a little bit because we gave up a couple of open outside looks because it was so hard to communicate because it was so loud in there when we were on defense. Yeah. And
good thing they went 2 of 16.
They were terrible from 3. Right.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
Exactly.
It's bad when we say somebody's bad from 3. They were bad.
They were terrible. So moving on to discussing more about Janai, who you just mentioned, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks in this game for Janai Broome. A dominating performance, if that. He looked every bit of what Walker Kessler looked like last year.
I think
he's not as tall. Yep. No, he's not as – I don't think he's as long. His timing is just really as good, if not, right there with him. He has a great mind offensively to put his body in the right position. There was one play where he posted up in a way where he just turned around and shoot it. It was late in the game, and I believe it was Chris Moore. Flanagan just passed it to him, and he just turned around and laid it because he had the guy on his backside pinned away from the basket. And he's incredible at that. That's something that we haven't seen from an Auburn center since Simeon Bowers. I'll say that.
Wait, you need point guard one?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. So I remember the play that you're talking about, and you're right.
Yeah.
He didn't even jump because he had the guy so pinned. He just turned around and put it off the glass and in.
Yeah.
He struggled a little bit yesterday with his shot that he wasn't struggling with against Georgia, but it didn't matter because he was getting the looks that I want him to get. And he, like we said, in that zone, he plays really well in that zone. He's able to communicate, and he's long. And like you said, his timing is really good. He ended up double-double for the 4th straight game. I think that's the first time we've had a person go double-double for the 4th straight game since Austin Wiley did it in the 2019 run. That's pretty impressive. And to be honest with you, we play at Ole Miss Tuesday. If he doesn't have a double-double, I'll be a little disappointed in where he is. So he could break that record and have 5 straight double-doubles. And that's such a big deal.
Yeah.
He's such a big deal to have in there. And again, when I say we don't have an NBA player, he may be an NBA player, but he's not going to be drafted this year. He's an NBA player maybe next year. And if he can develop that shot from outside, he likes to shoot it. He's made it more than Walker did. And continue to play defense the way he does, he could get there.
He will. Yeah, absolutely. But we can't move on from talking about Janai without him talking about his technical. So I really want to know what he said to that guy, the Walsh guy who
I don't think you can put it on this podcast.
No. He went to, the Walsh kid went 2 of 10 and from the field and 0 of 3 from 3 and had 4 fouls. And
the bald guy, right?
Struggling. Yeah, the bald guy was just really, really struggling. And Janai had no idea he was there, tried to lay it up, and Janai just sent it out of bounds. And I really want to know what Janai said because right when it happened, right when the referee teed him up, I was like, well, there's the difference between him and Kessler. Kessler would have said, oh, that was a good try.
Good try. Nice effort, big fella.
Janai did
not say that.
Said something we can't repeat on this podcast. I really want to know what he said, but
he obviously said something loud enough to be heard because the official was standing right there and did not hesitate to give him a technical.
No. There wasn't a warning. There wasn't a hey.
It wasn't hey, buddy. Let's chill, relax. No, he teed him up right there. And I made the comment on Twitter. Some thin-skinned officials are bothersome. It's probably inaccurate. That he probably deserved that technical.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. It's the difference between him and Walker Kessler. Walker would have patted the guy on the butt and go, "You'll get it next time." And Janai was not going to do that.
No.
Janai said something about this is my effing house, and I don't know, but it wasn't long. It was short.
Yeah.
But it was loud enough and vociferous enough that the official went, "No, that's a technical."
Yeah. So looking at more of the outline of this game, everybody scored in this game outside of Yohan Traore. We'll talk about him in just a second. Chris Moore had 2 points. He had that dunk. Jalen Williams had 9 points on just 4 shots. Jalen wasn't really involved in the offense.
Wasn't involved at all.
And a lot of that was due to Allen and Wendell playing so well and shooting so well from the outside. And
we got to get Jalen to make that shot, though.
Jalen had 4 shots in this game. He had 9 points because he got to the foul line a lot. He buried that 3 at the shot clock. I have no idea how
There's no way that ball should go in.
No.
There's no way. He would tell you. There's no way that ball should have gone in. Completely off balance. He was trying to draw the foul and give the kid credit. The ball kid jumped, but jump kind of falling out of his way, so he didn't commit the foul.
Yeah, exactly. Dylan Cardwell got the alley-oop dunk off the no-look pass from Wendell Green, which was impressive. I don't know. That's a heck of athletic play from Cardwell as well.
Yeah.
Trey Donaldson had his rattle-in three.
Boing, boing, boing. And for what it's worth, that was during one of our lulls, one of our droughts that we go through. And the ball was not going in the basket, and it just bounced and hit off the backboard and dropped.
I was like, okay, broke the ice.
Now we're ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like I said, Chris Moore scored. Can we talk about ISOing for Zepp? Because we ISO'd for Zepp 3 straight plays. And he scored on the first 2, and
should have scored
that 3 should have gone in. They rattled in. He should have scored on that third one. But 3 straight ISOs for Zepp Jasper. If we're ISOing for Zepp Jasper and he's scoring, things are going right for this Auburn team.
I just don't even.
It was the right matchup. Those mid-range shots were beautiful. The first one, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I don't know about that. The second one, he buried. I was like, shoot it again. Shoot it again.
As long as that smaller white guy's on him,
yep,
they're going to call that play. And it's true. The kid could not stay with him.
No,
and Zepp, you're right. They saw that he was on him once, and so they got the ball to him and cleared out, and he went in and scored. And I was like, that's good move, Zepp. I'm proud of you, Zepp, because he's not a guy you think is going to score that much.
No.
But then they came down the next play and threw it to Zepp, and everybody cleared out again. I was like, we're ISOing Zepp Jasper?
I don't know about this, guys.
What are we doing? And he nailed it again. I was like,
it buried it. I was like, shoot it, Zepp. Okay, shoot it, Zepp.
And then the next play, same thing. ISO Zepp Jasper. I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah, and that third one, that 3 should have gone in, and that place would have, the roof would have come off.
It would have exploded.
Which, by the way, Arkansas owns.
If according to Arkansas fans, yeah, that's right.
They own Neville Arena.
So, we talked about everybody except for the 2 that were harp on.
Yeah.
Let's first talk about KD. KD had his good moments in this game. He had 2 drives to the basket that looked like KD Johnson, and he scored. And it were very impressive. Johnson goes 2 of 10 in this game and 0 of 4 from 3, including an air ball on a wide open one.
I mean, wide open.
It looks
like pregame warm-ups.
Yeah, it looks like he has no confidence right now.
None.
We talked about in the last episode, the whole team's kind of swag had completely gone away.
Yeah.
Well, the team had swag back in this game, especially Wendell Green and Alan Flanagan. KD did not, and I don't understand if it's just a shooting thing or if it's a confidence thing. He looked much better today on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. He looked aggressive, especially considering the tall guards that he was guarding. And same thing goes with Wendell. I mean, I'm very impressed with our smaller guards. The way Anthony Black had 23 points, but 13 of those were from the free throw line.
Yeah.
They were very impressive defensively. And KD did really good things in this game, but is really struggling with his shot.
I don't understand it. He works. You see videos of him working after the game when nobody else is out there.
Yeah.
But he had a 3-point shot that nobody was in the camera frame with him. And right in front of our bench. And it wasn't off. It didn't hit anything, and it didn't come close to anything. And it was like, what is wrong? We are going to need KD to have some of those games where he makes those. Yep. And I know he can make them. I've seen him. We've all seen him make them.
Yep.
It's just, when will that happen again?
Yeah. He's just got to get – I think, and because we saw him struggle towards the end of last year, and we've seen him have success in this year. It's just not as consistent right now. And I think he just needs that 1, maybe 2 games where he goes for 10, 11 points and goes 1 of 2 or 2 of 3 from the 3-point line and just gets a little bit of confidence back, because that's what he needs. He just doesn't look like he's got that KD swag we saw all of last year.
Yep.
And once he gets that back, I feel confident that he'll be contributing because, yes, just like you said, we are going to need him because there will be games where Wendell struggles and where Jalen struggles or Janai does or Alan Flanagan doesn't do what he did, that we're going to really, really need KD, especially in big games that we've got coming up. So, and then one more player to talk about. Let's talk about the deer in the headlights. Johan, man,
I don't get it.
I don't understand.
I
don't think I ever will either.
And I don't. I know he's got the talent. So the one play that he had,
it
was a press break. He was in on a press break, got the ball to him in the middle of the floor. You're taught to turn and look, and there was nobody near him. So he takes off dribbling right down the middle. And I'm thinking, maybe he's got a chance to go up and dunk this ball. And a guy steps in and stands there and waits for
2
him.
seconds. Yeah.
And Johan just plows him. And it's an obvious charge. It's an easy call. If he jump stops 14 feet from the goal, I don't mind him taking that shot.
Yeah. So,
and then he had an open three, or not an open three, but a three that it wasn't even close.
And then he also had a defensive play where we were playing zone, and Janai had rotated up in the zone due to the guy flashing to the Walsh guy flashing to the high post.
Yeah.
And Traore was too high, and the guy back cut around Traore got a dunk. And you could see the look in Wendell's face, like, dude, what? That was you. That was all you.
What are you doing?
I don't get it. It just doesn't look like he knows where he is. And again, we talk about this with KD. I don't know if it's a confidence thing, because he sure looked confident in Israel, but he looks bad. He looks bad. And in this game, we didn't really need him. Jalen played – how many minutes did Jalen play? Jalen only played 20 minutes because at the end of the game, or especially in the second half, we had lineups where both Alan Flanagan and Chris Moore were in there at the same time, and one of them was the 4, while Janai or Cardwell was out at the 5. Instead of – because trying to give Jalen minutes off instead of giving those minutes to Traore. Traore's minutes went down to 6 minutes in this game. Yeah, so I'm wondering if those go down even farther, because I really enjoyed the lineup of having Chris and Allen there at the same time. And when we played teams like Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, who have these long forwards, these 6'9", 6'10" forwards who can all shoot from the outside, are very quick with the ball handle, and can play on the perimeter, you're going to need Chris Moore and Alan Flanagan out there at the same time, because those are your 2 best wing defenders. And I like that, and I like giving that rest to Jalen there, but I just don't understand what is going on with Traore, man.
I don't either. I don't get it. He's too good of a player. And yes, I know that he's a freshman. He's struggling maybe he's struggling in trying to get his feet under him as far as everything else, and it's affecting his play. We're going to need him. Yeah. We're going to need him, and we're going to need him badly at some point. We're also going to need Chance Westry. Chance Westry, yeah. Who didn't play last night.
Nope. Hasn't played in a while.
Haven't played, and he played a little bit against Georgia, but mop up time.
Yeah, while we were getting demolished.
Yeah.
That's right. So outside of those struggles from KD, and I don't put KD struggles or Johan or even Johan struggles on any game or anything like that, because you won this game. You just beat a top 15 team. And
first quad 1 win.
Yep. And
that's home. One more than Kentucky has.
Well, yeah. Well, Kentucky got absolutely embarrassed by the Alabama Crimson.
A really good
Alabama team. So a really, really good bounce back win for Auburn. Cannot ask for a better atmosphere, a better game, especially against Arkansas because of that game last year.
We owed them.
Yeah, we did, and we gave it to them. So
now we get to go to Ole Missy.
Yeah, so
on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night at 8:00 p.m. Central Time, we will play against Ole Miss. They are 8-7, which is 14th in the SEC.
They've lost 4 straight good ball games.
They've lost 4 straight. That's right. Their leading scorer is Matt Morrell. Obviously, Auburn fans remember him from last year, who had a almost perfect first half last year at Ole Miss, and then Auburn ended up coming back and winning that game after being down 6 at halftime. He averages 14.7 points a game. The next leading scorer is Deshaun Ruffin at 9 points a game. They also have Jaheim Brakefield, the transfer from Duke. So they've got some players. Obviously, Deshaun Ruffin, the guard, was formerly committed to Auburn as a junior in high school, and then decommitted and went to Ole Miss. This is obviously a big game. Every SEC game from now on will be important because of seeding and because of that Georgia loss. You're kind of like, oh, are we like okay? The Arkansas win definitely helps, but
it does.
You get both the Mississippi schools this week. You go to Ole Miss to get Mississippi State at home on Saturday. I think you're set up very, very well for the future.
We don't play another top 50 Kim Pom team until West Virginia at the end of the month.
Yeah. So
and then February is a nightmare. But let's get our confidence built. Ole Miss started their losing streak on December 20th versus North Alabama by a point. Since then, Tennessee only beat them by 4. Alabama beat them by 22, and Mississippi State beat them this weekend by 10.
Yeah.
So this is a game we need to go and get.
I agree.
And Bruce tends to have a hard time with this coaching matchup for some reason.
Yeah.
We won last year, so maybe that's over. But before that, what's
Ole
his
Miss
name?
has had our number. Yeah,
They've had our number. Kermit Davis. Thank you.
So looking at just like you said, looking at the Auburn schedule for the future here, obviously 2 Mississippi schools this week. Then the next week you have LSU and South Carolina. Both of those are on the road. That'll be 2.
LSU will be tough.
Interesting. LSU will be really tough. South Carolina's a team that's really struggling, but they have talent. And then you get Texas A&M at home. And then just like you said, the end of January, you go to Morgantown and play against the Press. That'll be very, very tough. And then, February. Wow.
Let's not even talk about February.
Holy cow.
It's bad.
That's tough. That's going to be a tough one. So
all right.
that'll wrap up this edition of the Jungle Show. This is a big-time win. We'll be back on Friday to discuss Auburn's game over Ole Miss. Hopefully Auburn's win over Ole Miss. But we'll be back to discuss that then. If you want to find all the amazing stuff on Auburn Daily, just auburndaily.com. Just go there. Or you can find it at the Auburn Daily. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us at Gray Oldenburg or at War Eagle Hoops. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back next time.